Test 1 2. Test 1 2.
I would like to call our February 9th, 2021 Board of Education meeting to order. Ms. Weckesser, can you please make a note that we do have a quorum, 6 members present. At this time, I will call on the invocation by Ms. Lynn Andrews, Pledge of Allegiance by Ronald Johnston.
Of each of our lives, you have called us to this place. And we continue to pray for your guidance and your direction. Tonight, Lord, we ask your special blessing on Dr. Gracie, on his family, on the central office staff that works so hard to reach out and be servants to our school system. We pray for our staff members within our schools, for principals and assistant principals and teacher assistants, custodians, data managers, bus drivers, child nutrition, all of those who are working so hard in such a difficult time. We pray for our families within our community, for parents who each day handle the anxieties of life, the anxieties of income, and children in remote learning, and just all the situations that young families especially have to deal with. We pray that you would continue to give them patience and strength during this time. And most of all, tonight, Father, we pray for the students. We pray for the child who's in a home right now that may not be safe, for the child tonight that may be cold and hungry. And we ask your blessings upon them. And for all our students, Father, we pray that as they watch the world unfold around them, both their world, their nation, their community, and even our school district, that they would know that better things are ahead, and that you have entrusted to us part of their care and keeping. And that's why we pray for your continued guidance and direction. May we in our effort bring hope to their young lives. We pray this prayer, Father, and every prayer in the name of your mighty and holy Son. Amen.
Everybody face the flag, place your hand over your heart, and join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, I'll entertain a motion to go into closed session for the purpose stated on our agenda. Motion by Mr. Wooten.
Second.
Second by Ms. Sessoms. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries 6-0. We'll go into closed session at this time. Good evening and welcome to your February 9th, 2021 Johnston County Board of Education. We have already established a quorum as well as our invocation and pledge and had closed session. So at this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve our January 12th, 2021 minutes.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Carroll, second by Mr. Wooten. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries 6-0. At this time, I'll ask for any adjustments to the agenda, starting with Mr. Johnston.
No adjustments.
Mr. Carroll. Ms. Sessoms.
None.
Mr. Wooten.
Add comments from our board attorney in reference to the open seat, Board of Education open seat. I don't know what area you want to put that at, but if you could add that
Yes.
to the agenda, I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. We can put that.
Crystal's not presenting, so if you could put it on G, I think that would work.
Yeah, let's do that. Item G would have our board attorney give us an update on the vacant seat on the Board of Education. So that'll be
And that's all I have.
G1. Okay, we have a motion. Can I get a second?
I second.
I think Mr. Johnston seconded it. Mr. Johnston second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. All right. At this time, I will ask for a Finance Committee update from Mr. Wooten.
Mr. Chairman, we did have our first public finance committee meeting with the new seated board on February the 2nd, and I urge the public to go to the Johnston County Public Schools YouTube channel, which is the same channel they watch board meetings on, and tap into the February 2nd meeting. There's a lot of good information, a lot of funding coming from the COVID, the CARES Act, and it's just a large source of information and some good things going on with the Johnston County School Board budget.
Thank you, Mr. Wooten. I had the pleasure of speaking to one of our representatives last week. They actually tuned in and watched that meeting as well and thought it was very well, and they were very happy to see all the different topics that were talked about in that Finance Committee meeting and moving it forward. So we appreciate you guys doing that, and thank you for all your hard work. I know budget season's coming up, so you guys will be pretty busy coming forward. Anything from the legal committee, Ms. Andrews?
We don't have a report.
Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Sessoms with the policy.
Yes, we will be meeting this Thursday at 2 p.m. here in the boardroom. We have set our meeting dates. Those were announced at last month's board meeting. Our regular meetings are the Thursday immediately following the regularly scheduled board meeting at 2 p.m. And I just invite our public and our staff to go to our policy page on the website to look at any proposed policy changes or additions and provide us with feedback.
Thank you, Ms. Sessoms. At this time, we will go into special recognitions, and I'll call on Ms. Dolores Gill.
Good evening, everyone. This is our most exciting time of our agenda for me, and this is the opportunity for us to make some recognitions of some fantastic folks within our school system, both students and staff and administrators today. After I finish a section of mine, Mr. Vetrano will be coming in and doing the employees of the month. Due to COVID-19 pandemic, we have not had a recognition of our character education students for quite some time. We will be recognizing many students this evening. Today, we are going to do it virtually. You will see a picture of them, and they're aware of the live stream that we have, and I'll be reading an overview that was provided by the school about these students, and we are just delighted. They will also be presented and have been sent to their school a memento that we have, some cute little headphones that we have for the kids, and certificate to let them know how special that they are. So we're going to begin with our character education students for February 2021. And I will say that even though we've been delayed, we are still going to be able to recognize all students from all schools as we finish the complete school year. So we have had that divided out. Our first student is from Archers Lodge Middle, and it's Jonah Hudson, who's in the 8th grade. The character trait he represents is compassion, treating others as you would like to be treated. Again, he is from Archers Lodge, and he serves as the Archers Lodge mascot, and he truly exemplifies Gator pride, and he associates that with the compassion and spirit that he has. He is a student who always goes above and beyond to be there for others. He understands the value of a warm greeting and a smile to those who may need it. He gravitates towards students who are new and need someone to help them feel at home. He treats everyone with empathy, compassion, and friendliness, and it is a quality that endears everyone to Jonah. In his 3 years at Archer Lodge, there has not been a time, his school reports, not even a moment, when he was not a positive influence on others in the building. And he doesn't do things for himself, but always he abides by the golden rule and treats others as he would like to be treated. And I would like to say, just personally, he is a friend of my son's. So that makes me feel even better. And I will say, he has always made me feel good from the moment he has come to my home. So congratulations, Jonah. From Cleveland Elementary, Claire Moore is in the 5th grade, and the character ed she represents is self-discipline, doing your best in all situations. She arrives at school every day with a smile on her face while wearing her mask. And some of those folks, you can see the smile come through their mask. Her smile shines through her eyes. When arriving, she immediately unpacks her book bag, looks at the smartboard, gets started on her work. She pays attention and participates in classroom discussions, completes all of her assignments. And after school, Claire reports that the first thing she does is get her homework done when she arrives at home. There she goes outside, plays upstairs, spends time with her brother and sister. In addition to balancing schoolwork and family time, she also plays softball and is excited for the season to start back up again. So congratulations to Claire Moore. Next, from Cleveland High School, Aliana Lourdes in the 12th grade. What a beautiful photo. Courage, doing the right thing even when others do not. Aliana is a stellar and conscientious student and displays the characteristics of both courage and fairness. She's the founder of the Cleveland High School's Racial and Ethnic Diversity Club. She's recognized as a need in our school. She sought this out as an opportunity to establish the club and to shed light on issues faced by the minority students at Cleveland High School and in the community, the state, and the country. As the president of the club, she established the first leadership team. She also has tremendous courage by sharing with our entire school staff during our recent equity professional development. Her input, along with other students' voices, helped to shape policies and processes at our high school as they move to be more equitable and inclusive. Aliana has been accepted to several universities, and we're excited to see what the future holds for her. Congratulations. From Cleveland Middle, we have Hannah Tolentino in the 8th grade. The character trait she represents is self-discipline, doing her best in all situations. What an amazing student Hannah is, and she's a peer. She's kind and a role model to her classmates, willing to help, especially with new students, volunteered to be a chat box monitor during virtual learning, supporting the learning of her peers. She encourages others and cheers when they succeed, and she's respectful to teachers and peers. She completes her work on time, goes above and beyond, and she has a positive attitude when she's presented with challenges. She asks questions and always goes the extra mile. She's creative when it comes to all of her projects. She's one of a kind, caring, generous, and joyful. There's always a smile on her face. Congratulations to you, Hannah. Corinth Holders Elementary, Angel Torres in 2nd grade for compassion, treating others as you would like to be treated. Angel is from Miss Rohalick's 2nd grade classroom. During his art enhancement block one time in December, Angel volunteered to sit with another student. Angel helped this friend understand the instructions and always encouraged him to do his best, even when his friend was upset and frustrated. On multiple occasions, Angel has offered to walk with this student in the hallway to help him get to his classroom when he's feeling overwhelmed. And this is just one example of the way Angel treats classmates. On many other occasions, he's offered to be a helper both to his friends and his teachers. And the school is just so inspired by the level of compassion that Angel has towards others. We're already seeing a very common theme that our students help other people. And that's exactly what we want and why we're recognizing them today. Corinth Holders High School. Grace Sigler in 11th grade. Character trait is perseverance, working hard, and not giving up. Grace, with her elite tumbling skills, made the varsity cheerleading team as a freshman, and that is hard to do. Before the first football game, she suffered an injury, but this did not stop her from being a cheerleader, and she didn't miss a game. Additionally, she continued to excel in her studies. With hard work, she was able to return for basketball and stunt season. But Grace suffered a second injury. Again, this did not stop Grace. She continued to come to every stunt game and continued to excel in her classes. Grace made the varsity as a sophomore and worked hard to regain her skills. This year as a junior, she's once again on the varsity team, and it has been so easy for Grace, it could have been easy for Grace to give up on cheerleading and fall behind in her studies after each of these injuries, but she refused to let anything stop her. And the school says Grace epitomizes perseverance. Congratulations to Grace. For Polenta Elementary, Maddox Moulton in the 5th grade is the character trait of fairness, treating all people equally. Maddox is always willing to lend a helping hand to those who are in need. He assists others in their learning without bias, and he can be found on the playground participating in jump rope challenges. In his ELA classroom, he discusses great literature, and in math and science, he likes digging deep into problem solving as he interacts with his peers and teachers. No matter what you ask of Maddox, he is ready to tackle any situation positively and strives for excellence. He shares this drive, and everyone sees it around him. He's the oldest of 4 brothers. He can be found in his home treating his siblings with fairness and kindness. And, in other words, look to Maddox, the school says, as the ray of light shining just based on his treatment of all of those around him. Congratulations, Maddox. From Riverdale, Sophie Dunn in 4th grade, the character trait of compassion, treating others as you would like to be treated. Sophie is one of the kindest, most self-motivated, dedicated in all areas of her life, compassionate and positive kids. Sophie has embraced all the challenges that have been presented with patience and grit. She values herself, but she's very humble in doing so, and values her education. She truly knows the importance and significance of doing her best, and she's ready to be challenged, and she always goes above and beyond. She's a friend to everyone and a leader in and out of the classroom. She's been an inspiration and reminding people that even though they've had some obstacles, to look for the silver lining, to support one another, and to take things one step at a time. What wisdom we have in our young ones. Love hearing that. Our next student is Riverwood Elementary, Henry Lepresti in the 4th grade. The character trait is perseverance, working hard and not giving up. Henry started at Riverwood in 1st grade, and he's now in the 4th grade and has worked diligently over the years to make progress. He's faced challenges, and he's developed the ability to accomplish anything that he sets his mind to. He's hardworking, and he never gives up, and because of this, he's shown tremendous growth. He's worked to build friendships, and he loves to please his teachers and loves to be praised. And looking at that smile, I can certainly see that that's not hard to do. And he has gained so much confidence and independence. He's strong and has a strong support system at home, which helps him. And they've helped him become successful in the total school environment. He has a bright future ahead, says his school, and we look forward to watching him continue to persevere. Congratulations. And at Riverwood Middle, we're excited to be able to honor Caitlin, and I hope I get this right, Everesto Flores in the 8th grade with perseverance, working hard and not giving up. This young lady is an outstanding model for students with problem-solving skills. She'll push herself to solve problems independently prior to even asking for assistance. She goes above and beyond to approach problems, and when she does approach her teachers, she will list techniques and recourse she has already tried and explains why they were not successful. What we love about Caitlin, says the school, is her ability to take risk and not fearing that she will make a mistake. She loves to make mistakes and learn from them, always thinking about the future, and she's always asking about how to resolve conflict within the school and within assignments. These problem-solving skills are truly amazing, and she will be able to conquer her career goals because of it. So congratulations, Caitlin. From Swift Creek Middle, Darlene Rodriguez in the 8th grade, and the character education trait is dependability, keeping your promise. Darling has stood out for a period of time with her dependable work ethic. She exceeds all of her expectations, takes it upon herself to help students, and always follows through on her task. She demonstrates dependability to her leaders and teachers and students daily. She's always the first student to log in and be prepared, and that is something to say this year. First to log in. Serves as an example to other students in so many ways, and holds strong to the promise that she made to her parents and herself to promise to get the most out of her educational experience and exceed all expectations that those who love and care for her have. What a tremendous statement to be said about this young lady. Congratulations. Westview Elementary. Alexander Hodges in 3rd grade, whose character traits we're honoring is compassion, treating others as you would like to be treated. Alexander Hodges is a wonderful student in the building, the school reports, and a bright light. Kind, shows compassion, and he doesn't have to be told to do this or reminded to do so. Uses his time wisely when he's not in instruction to make others feel included and valued. He has been seen holding the door for others, assisting kids at a younger grade levels, and has the very best manners in the classroom. Alex loves to share new ideas with his peers and helps his teacher with the classroom task. He is focused on his studies and always tries his best when given assignments. Alex promotes positivity in the building by reminding others of the Wise Owl way. And if you've been around Miss Mangum at Westview, she makes a point of that when you see her Facebook Lives, and you're going to see a picture of that a little bit later. I believe that that is all of our character ed recognitions, but what a well worth time that was. So let's give them a round of applause. Thank you so very much. And we look forward to having them back with us in person our next round as soon as possible. At this time, I think I have one more. No, it's actually your turn, isn't it? It is. Okay, I'm going to step back for a minute and have Mr. Vetrano come in, and then I'll be back in a moment.
Thank you, Ms. Gill. It's always my privilege to stand before you and recognize outstanding employees. We certainly have two this month. Standing beside me is Ms. Dawn Starling. Ms. Starling serves as an occupational therapist, and she was nominated as Employee of the Month by one of her colleagues, Elena Asen. I hope I'm pronouncing that name correctly. Ms. Asen shared that Ms. Starling has been working for our school system for 10 years, and her experience really shows she's not only a dedicated occupational therapist, but she is a wonderful colleague, mentor, team leader, and friend. Dawn constantly goes above and beyond for her students and the teachers she works with. She's been flexible during online OT, switching back and forth, but always focused on what is important, helping her students. Through her sessions and the interventions she has developed, it is clear that she spends a lot of time planning out her ideas so that her students are always very engaged and excited. Dawn is a fountain of knowledge to the teachers she helps every day with fine motor and sensory needs of their students. She has so much experience in school OT And as her mentee, I feel so lucky to have someone like Dawn who truly shows what it means to be passionate, dedicated public school employee, and a staunch advocate for those students who cannot speak for themselves. Ms. Starling, we appreciate you being nominated. So we appreciate Ms. Asen sending in your name and sharing these wonderful things about you. It sounds like you're doing terrific things for our school system, so we can't thank you enough. And congratulations on being our Classified Employee of the Month. Normally, we would have her come around and greet you, but I've asked her just to remain here, and we'll give her an applause. And Ms. Starling, we have a certificate, a gift card, and a keychain for you. So thank you so much for what you do for the students of our school system. Congratulations. Next, we have our Certified Employee of the Month, Mr. Douglas Lewis. Mr. Lewis serves as a drafting teacher at Cleveland High School. He was nominated by a parent, Ms. Crystal Benson. Ms. Benson shared here, it says, "My son is in Drafting 2, an architectural virtual class at Cleveland High School this semester. And while I thought Mr. Lewis was a good teacher last year after drafting, I now realize he is an excellent teacher. In the virtual setting, I've had the opportunity to hear some of Mr. Lewis's classes, and he does such an amazing job with his students. In addition to always being available to his students and responding to all of their questions by email and office hours, he checks in with each and every student at the end of each class to see if they have any questions. If they do, he schedules a time to virtually meet with them, or in this case of my son's class, being the last class of the day, Mr. Lewis stays in the virtual classroom with them as long as any individual student wants to stay for help. He has stayed up to an hour extra after class in the virtual setting to be sure that all of his students' questions have been answered. He offers to answer any emails at any time of the day and meet with them virtually for office hours. He is extremely patient, very approachable, very present with each individual student, and he comes across as if he has all the time in the world to focus on the individual students. We appreciate Ms. Benson sharing this wonderful information. It's glad to hear from parents when they're very pleased with their child's education, so we appreciate Ms. Benson sharing this. Thank you, Mr. Lewis, for all you do for the students of our school system. And we know it's been challenging, especially with this pandemic, so for you and Ms. Starling, an extra thank you for going above and beyond during this time. Here's a certificate, a keychain, and a gift card for you as well. Congratulations. And Mr. Chairman, those are our employees of the month, and I'll now turn it over to our next presenter.
Thank you, Mr. Vetrano. It's always good to have the employees of the month here. We thank them for all of their hard work, as well as the character education recognitions. Ms. Gill.
All right, I'm delighted to be back with you because we have some very special recognitions today that we really didn't want to have pass by without giving you an opportunity. I'm going to let you speak just a minute right there. Okay. I have a fantastic gentleman here with me today, and I'm going to say a few words about Bryce Womble, and then I'm going to let him come up and say a few things to you about the special leadership role that he has taken on. And this is just so special that we wanted to make sure that we, as I told him out in the hallway, made a fuss over him. So we're getting ready to make a fuss over you. All right, so Bryce Womble is a junior at Cleveland High School, and he serves as the student advisor to the North Carolina State Board of Education. Told you that was a big deal. So 3 high schools in Johnston County. I've got the wrong thing. Hold on, get ready to say the wrong thing. Here we go. Bryce is a junior again, and he became aware of this opportunity through the social media page of a former state superintendent. So there was an application process, and it began with several questions concerning education, what he would do to improve education, and he was chosen along with some of the other over 100 applicants for an interview. The interview was conducted by the state superintendent's team and the former student advisor, and he was asked questions about complex issues concerning education and what his viewpoints were. In these meetings, Bryce participates by giving the board the viewpoint of a student on these issues, whether they happen to be about curriculum or extracurricular activities. And whenever the board needs the student's perspective, they typically refer to the student advisors. So I'm going to let Bryce come up, and if you want to say a few words about if you've been to meetings, kind of what they've been about, and I'm going to step back.
Hey, thank you. Thank you. I'm Bryce Womble, and I was nominated as a North Carolina Student State Advisor. And during this position, I help advise the state board on issues if they ask questions like what's a student's point of view, or just give feedback in general. And one of the things I hope to advocate for is more AP opportunities and more opportunities in general for students, because I know that can be lacking at points. And I really hope my role as a student advisor can be help further education in North Carolina. Thank you.
We know you're very proud. Thank you so very much. And I have a presentation for you, actually. These are for you. All right. And typically, we would have you come by and shake everybody's hand, but everybody's going to virtually shake your hand.
We look forward to having you come back sometime and share with us
Some reports.
your experience within this role, because we're very interested in that.
Yeah, we've got his picture, yeah. We sure do.
Okay.
That's right. All right. We told you we had some special things today. So our next folks that are coming in is 3 of our high school principals that are coming in. And these 3 high school principals were recognized by the North Carolina Department of Public Instruction for achieving outstanding graduation rates in the 2019-20 school year. And we are very proud of them. And I'm going to have them come up in just a minute, but I have Miss Jenna Sauls-Hare from Cleveland High School. We have Brian Johnson from Corinth Holders High School, and we have Mr. Robert Daniels from Johnston County Early College. So Johnston County Early College was recognized for earning a graduation rate of 100%. So I'm going to give a special presentation to you. Let's see. And this is for outstanding graduation rate of 100%. So congratulations. Thank you for all that you did. And then we had Corinth Holders High and Cleveland High for earning graduation rates of 95%. So congratulations to Cleveland High School. And to Mr. Brian Johnson from Corinth Holders High School. And so I just want to say that these are some of the most hardworking folks. Our high school principals are tremendous, and these 3, I know that we're extremely proud of them as a district for all that they do, and it just meant bringing you in and telling you how proud we were of you and what you do to make that happen. So thank you so very much. All right, that's all I have.
Thank you, Ms. Gill. At this time, we only have one advisory appointment tonight for Cooper Academy, so Ms. Sassoms.
Principal Jamie Stoke at Cooper Academy makes the following recommendations. Reappointment of members Dr. Andrea Williams and Eric Schmider for 3 years each, terms to end in June 2023. And new member appointments for Dawn Sousa and Victoria Robb for 3 years each, terms to end in June 2023.
Thank you, Ms. Sessoms. I'll let that stand as a motion. Since we don't have any more, I'll entertain a second on this. Second by Mr. Johnson. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed. Motion carries 6-0. We do have public comment. We're going to take a hard break at 5:50. We have one tonight, so we'll take a break at 5:50 for them to set up for 6 o'clock public comment. We have one link to our agenda and then one in person. So at this time, I'll turn it over to Dr. Bracy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, at this time, I ask that the board approve consent items 9A, 1A through 9A, 1D.
Motion by Mr. Carroll, second by Mr. Johnston. Any questions? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed. Motion carries 6-0. Dr. Pierce.
Good evening, Chairman Sutton, Lady Vice Chair, Ms. Sessoms, Dr. Bracy, and members of the board. I have one item for approval. Each year, Board Policy 4100 states that the board shall, prior to June 1st, identify those schools which no new reassignments will be requested or requests will be accepted. And so our window for renewal reassignment starts March 1st, and our window for new reassignment starts May 15th. And so the only change from the 2021 CAP schools list is the removal of Selma Elementary School based on the membership projections. And so we recommend to approve the list as presented for the 21-22 school year for CAP schools.
I'll entertain a motion to accept the CAP schools for 2021, 2022 as presented. Motion by Mr. Johnston, second by Mr. Wooten. Any questions? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Thank you, Dr. Pierce.
Thank you.
Dr. Bracy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Which moves us to our monthly COVID-19 update. This will be a lot shorter than our update was last month. I think last month we had I believe it was about 25 to 30 slides. Don't have that many this month. Just want to review current state guidance and local metrics as we discuss at the tail end of this presentation what our next steps are for returning students to learning. Just this slide right here, back that up, please, Ms. Walker. So this slide right here, just wanted to highlight some wonderful things and just heroes in our school system who are doing great things. And you all sit here with me each month, and you as voting members of the board, myself a part of the board, we make decisions on whether we're going to be in Plan A, Plan B, or Plan C. But these folks right here, no matter what plan we choose and approve, they make it happen every day in our schools, and they're really heroes. They do a great job. You see up in the corner, Miss Mangum from Westview and her staff, her two assistant principals, they do daily Facebook Live check-ins with her classes to make sure that they stay connected, and more of those happening as well. A lot of behind-the-scenes people that make all these plans work smoothly and possible. You see our bus drivers there, you see our maintenance staffs there, you see our custodial staffs there, and you see just a bunch of teachers there doing live sessions, whether it be Google Classroom or another platform, just doing wonderful things. Even before I came in this evening, Ms. Leathers told me about a great visit she had today to Corinth Holders High School, just the awesome instruction that she observed while she was there today. So great things are happening in our classes and in our schools each day, whether we're on Plan A, Plan B, Plan C. And I'm not telling you as the board anything that you don't know, because you all are connected and hear from our staff all the time. Absolutely. Please give them a hand. Just want to, I believe it was last Tuesday on the 2nd, the governor, was it last Tuesday? Yeah, the governor, there's been so many, he had another one today. The governor had a news conference with some updated information, and the governor encouraged schools to reopen for in-person instruction, which we were already open. We've been open. We brought back our self-contained EC population in pre-K prior to bringing back all students on February the 1st, but the governor is encouraging schools, as we all know, to reopen for in-person instruction with the use of established public health protocols. And elementary has the flexibility to operate in Plan A, Plan B, or Plan C. And high schools and middle schools do not have the option of operating in Plan A. It is strictly Plan B or Plan C. I think it's very important that we stress that this evening, because there is some belief that high schools and middle schools can operate in Plan A. That is not the case. They are restricted to Plan B or Plan C. And the governor, during his news conference, he recommended a return to in-person instruction 5 days a week to the fullest extent possible. And the governor also said today at his news conference that specific dates for frontline workers, which he's including educators as frontline workers to receive vaccine, is forthcoming this week. Also said at the press conference today was, with appropriate safety protocols, teachers can be in classrooms with students. And I'm going to talk about that a little more specifically when it comes to the CDC, some guidance that is forthcoming from them this week. I also want to keep in mind, you can leave it there, but the governor made a strong recommendation, but he did not do an executive order to mandate that everybody come back to school. He could have done an executive order, but he just did a strong mandate and recommendation. Just some updated guidance to the toolkit, and some of it is duplicity, so I won't repeat it all, but just want to emphasize what K-5 looks like, or elementary schools look like, as one of the options for Plan A. Elementary schools are not required to have 6 feet social distance. Just want to remind everybody of that. That's not necessary under the elementary guidance. Students in grades 6-12 should return to school in person if possible, but they do have to adhere to the 6 feet social distance guidance. Just a reminder of that. And also, that's the case with transportation as well. And under Plan B, transportation requirements also limit to the capacity on school buses to no more than 1 passenger per seat unless the 2 students come from the same household, and no more than 2 students in non-bus vehicles per seat as well. So we still have the social distance on buses in Plan B. We do not have the social distance on buses in Plan A. I believe that's the case. So just the biggest deficiencies and differences in the plans are social distance required in school and transportation under Plan A, under Plan B, but not under Plan A. I spoke a little early. Next slide, please. I spoke a little early about CDC guidance, and they will release that guidance on school reopening this week, unless it came out since this meeting started. I have not seen it as of yet, but they're going to release that guidance this week, rumored to be tomorrow, so we'll find that out. But I also want to say what Dr. Rochelle Walensky, who was the CDC director, said last week, that teachers being vaccinated should not be a prerequisite for returning to in-person learning. Now, the White House, after she said that, kind of walked that back, but she did say that. So I just want to stress that a little bit. Next slide, please. This is just a look at an updated look at our metrics as of yesterday, how we look on our dashboard, looking at our staff active cases. So we break it down: elementary, middle, and high, central services, active cases of COVID, plus our quarantines. So you see our quarantines are, for our staff, is much less than our students, as you would expect. But you look at our percentage of active cases there as well. Next slide, please. Just looking at our students right here. Active cases on January 12th compared to active cases now. We're up for active cases overall. We're up from 11 to 24 for elementary. We're up from 9 to 10 for middle, and down slightly by 1 for high school. And you look at the active quarantines, they've gone up as well. Next slide, please. Just again, comparing our staff metrics with where we were on January 12th compared to now. Staff cases are significantly down at every level, from 25 to 19 for elementary, from 14 to 4 for middle, and from 16 to 6 for high. And we also included there, for the purpose of information, our central services metrics as well. And our active quarantines are up for our staff as well. Next slide, please. We always get these questions about where we are as far as staffing is concerned, and you see there we have it listed. Total vacancies: classified 146, certified 54. You see the categories listed there that breaks it down: teacher assistants, school nutrition, office support, custodial. And we break it down: certified, regular ed, exceptional children, CTE, and other. Just as a point of information, our accommodations update, and these are the people that have an approved accommodation of telework, and you see it by grade level there for our staff as well as our central service employees. This slide was compiled by Dr. Pierce and Mr. Vetrano to summarize our first week back in session in Plan A, which of course began on February 1st. And you see the headings. You will note the numbers of quarantine staff, vacancies, telework and accommodations approved. For example, you look on February 1st, 415 staff were needed to provide support to the schools. And you see the number of central service employees that have also been pulled each day to cover those vacancies as well. So everybody's pitching in to do their part. Next slide, please. One of the challenges under Plan A have been large 4th and 5th grade class, and I just wanted to share that information with you because as you know, there are no class size regulations for grades 4 through 12. There are for grades pre-K 3, pre-K up to 18, but 3rd grade, we know about the class size law that were enacted a few years ago. But for grades 4 through 12, there are no class size limitations or regulations. So you look here for 4th grade, we had 53 classes with 0 to 24 students in them. We had 9 with over 25 for 4th grade. 5th grade, 0 to 24, we had 53. And for 5th grade, 25 plus was 18 classes. And some of those 25 plus classes had 30, some had in the mid 30s from what I recall from our information. Just a point of information for the board looking at districts across the state and what plan they are in, the number of districts in plans A, B, C, and the percentage of districts that are in said plan, just for the board's information. Just something we want to consider, all data points, and I think that's one that the board needs to just have in the back of their mind as we move toward making a decision this evening. These are some options that we have discussed as a staff. Of course, we have Plan B, which we're on right now, and we have the option to remain Plan B pre-K through 5 with cohorts AA, BB. What we've done since we've been on Plan B has been coming to school face-to-face, students totally 4 days a week, each cohort 2 days a week, and we've used Wednesday as an asynchronous day for deep cleaning as well. And we also maintain the virtual option for all students who want to participate in that. You also have the option of going Plan A for 4 days, and we'll again keep Wednesday open for asynchronous learning and deep cleaning and remain a virtual option there as well. Or Plan A, as we had in the past. I forget the date that we started Plan A. Earlier in the fall, we were there 5 days a week. Students attended school for all 5 full days, maintained the virtual option for all that wanted that virtual option. And as I said a little earlier, no social distancing is required on buses or stationary in schools if we resume Plan A. And just to update 612, we can also remain Plan B, which we are doing the 2 cohort model currently for everybody. So we could remain that way for 612 on that. There is no option, as I mentioned earlier, for Plan A currently for middle and high schools. We could keep the option that we have Monday and Tuesday, Wednesday deep cleaning, asynchronous learning, Thursday and Friday. The BB cohort come in for face-to-face learning as well. And we can always maintain the virtual option. I have not included in any of those scenarios returning to Plan C because all of my conversations with the board and also coupling that with what the governor has said in the past few days, the board has made it clear they would like for us to remain in school. So we do have the option of Plan C, but I haven't felt the spirit of that from discussing it with the board. So I haven't included that in this particular update. But if anybody wants to have that conversation, know that the option is there if you so choose to return to Plan C. But I haven't really heard that as a desire from any board member in the last little bit. So if there's any questions from me or the leadership team, we'll definitely entertain that at this time.
Well, what would your recommendation be based on the options you presented, Dr. Bracy? What are you feeling?
A good question. I recommend members of the board that all of our schools remain on Plan B through Friday, February 26th. I also recommend that on Monday, March 1st, for elementary schools, we transition to Plan A. And I recommend that we stay on a 4-day face-to-face model for Plan A for our elementary schools. Students would attend school face-to-face on Monday and Tuesday. Wednesday will remain a day for asynchronous learning and deep cleaning. And for grades 6 through 12, I would recommend we stay with Plan B as we currently are.
And the logistics in regards to transportation, all of that kind of worked out now? We're good to go with that, right?
I believe on Monday, March 1st, everything should be ironed out. That's my belief. Yes, sir. In starting March 1st, face-to-face 4 days, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. Wednesday would be an asynchronous day. Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I recommend the board accept Dr. Bracy's recommendation of Plan A for pre-K through 5, with Wednesday being an open date as it is now with our cohorts, and that 6-12 remain AB cohort. That would be my recommendation.
I'll
So-
second it.
Have a motion on the floor for us to go to a Plan A for pre-K through 5, starting on March the 1st, with an synchronous day on Wednesday for all K-12, and then remain on Plan B for 6-12. We have a second as well. Any questions?
Dr. Bracy, I just want to thank you for putting all this information together. And with your experience, as well as the time that you spend talking with your principals, I'm fully in support of whatever you recommend.
Thank you.
Any other questions? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. Yes, sir. Motion carries 5-1 to go to Plan A effective March 1st for our pre-K through 5. Thank you. At this time, we'll take a 10-minute break while we get ready for our public comment. Tonight, we have one speaker signed up for public comment. Citizens who have signed up to address the board during public comment will be called upon as they signed up and would have 3 minutes to address the board. The board suggests that specific personnel or student matters be addressed to the school principal, the Johnston County Public School System official responsible for the program or facility, or to the superintendent, and are not appropriate for this setting. The first speaker is Ms. April Lee.
Good evening, Chairman Sutton, Madam Vice Chair Sessoms, Dr. Bracy, and board members. I am April Lee, Johnston County resident, mother, teacher, and president of Johnston County Association of Educators. What I had prepared to say tonight came about 10 minutes late and apparently $1 short, but I'm going to say it anyway. My phone's already blowing up with messages, and I'll let you know what some of those are when I get to the end. Tonight, I'm here to remind you that student and staff safety should be our top priority in a global pandemic. Our 2,301 staff members who want vaccines have still not received them, with the exception of 69 people receiving them. We have had 328 employee quarantines as of this afternoon and 723 student quarantines this month alone. I know Plan B is hard. I've been teaching in a hybrid model since October 19th as a middle school teacher. I know it's exceptionally hard for our elementary teachers to juggle kids in person and online simultaneously. And I know lots of people would like to return to Plan A just so it can be easier, but it's not safer. Just take a look at the high quarantine numbers in elementary schools across our district right now while we're still in Plan B. Plan A means no social distancing and very little protection for our students and staff outside of wearing a mask. I ask that you not send us back to Plan A in pre-K through 5th grade until all teachers and staff who want vaccines are able to receive both doses. Please act with the safety of staff and students in mind. We have a better chance at staying safe with fewer students in our rooms and on our buses. The message I get over and over is that employees are not a priority, that our safety is not a concern. That is the message that they hear from the board when these votes happen. Mr. Carroll, I would like to thank you for keeping the safety of our students and staff in mind. You have done so consistently, and we appreciate you. It is very disheartening. We are putting our staff at risk. We are risking our students' lives. We are doing this in the middle of a global pandemic. All we want is to do this as safely as possible. We all want our kids back in school. But safety is not a concern. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lee. At this time, I will call Dr. Paula Coates.
Good evening, Mr. Board Chair, Madam Vice Chair, board members, and Dr. Bracy. Tonight I have 3 action items for you. The first is Board Exhibit number 9B1. We are requesting a purchase of a curriculum product to use with our older English language learners. They come to us many times missing foundational literacy skills, so that the curriculum materials that we have with foundational literacy are aimed at younger children. So this is targeted at our older children who need that support. We request this purchase out of our English Language Learners Fund Source. I have verified with Mr. Britt that the money is there. This program is called Benchmark Rigor. We want to specifically purchase the skills bag levels 1 and 2 for that. It would cost $120,000, $120,763, and as I said, come from PRCO 54. So we request your approval of the purchase of this item.
I'll entertain a motion to purchase the benchmark rigger for $120,763.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Johnston, second by Ms. Andrews. Any questions?
No. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. Is this, this is high school only?
No, it is older English language learners. We teach foundational literacy skills in early elementary education.
Okay.
After about third and fourth grade, those foundational literacy skills are not taught.
Okay.
So these English language learners, and it's just not Spanish, it's any student who does not have mastery of the English language, we get those students at all grade levels. Some might be high school, some might be upper elementary, some might be middle, but we need age-appropriate, developmentally appropriate materials to help them learn the language.
All right, and this is going, will this be our first foray into benchmark stuff?
No, that's just the name of it.
But I mean, as I looked at it, they had what I saw, it was a whole thing from pre-K all the way up.
Yes, but we are specifically trying to target, especially in this time of COVID, our older students who are missing those foundational skills.
Okay.
So it could be something that our department down the road might want to expand upon. We're just looking at where the needs are, and based in the research, I listed the researcher, and she is well documented with her research into learning the English language for English language learners. So this is not $120,000 for curriculum material is not a huge purchase.
And you're just purchasing the bag level 1 and 2?
Yes, just bag levels 1 and 2, skill bags levels 1 and 2. That's correct.
All
To
right,
support
now,
the instruction.
Will this price include training, development for our staff?
I
that
do
will be
not
using
know.
it?
I don't think training is required because it is a material that they're familiar with. It's targeting literacy. If training is required for it, we will provide it. Yes.
Because when I went on that site, it's, and of course, I understand I'm reading propaganda from the company that's selling it.
That's correct.
But they cited something like a 15% improvement with proper staff development over and above what they were getting.
Yes.
You're just using this.
Yes, and we will ensure that this department is skilled in this already. We've just not purchased this program to support it. Our department with English language learners is very strong, and if we have the funding, if the professional development provided is not sufficient, to provide more, because this money can't be spent on anything else but English language learners. No, this is an allocation from PRCO 54. Is allocated to us specifically for English language learners.
Any other questions? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries 6-0.
Thank you. The second item is Board Exhibit number 9B2. We adopted into reading for our English language arts curriculum in K-5, and at that time, we did not purchase separate teacher manuals for our ELL teachers because they work off the inclusion model. In this time of COVID, we have seen the need that we need to expand those because they're not in the classroom as much with those teachers, and they're doing a lot of individual tutorial work to support the curriculum. So we would like to use money from that very same fund to purchase additional teacher materials specifically targeted for our teachers to support English language acquisition. That cost would be $229,143.75 from the same fund source, and Mr. Britt has verified that the funding is there.
I'll entertain a motion to purchase additional teacher materials for the ELA for $229,143.75.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Sessoms. Second by Mr. Carroll. questions?
Yes, will each of those ELL teachers receive their own set of
Yes,
materials? So they do
and it's
have to
not just a
share.
teacher book.
Right.
These materials that come with this, the teacher kit is many times a huge box of materials. So they would each have their own. That's why the cost is elevated. Yes. Yes.
So they
It's
do
not just, it's just not a teacher book like the old days. It's not a teacher edition. It is a true kit.
So they will not have to share that.
That's the purpose of this, so that they don't have to share. I don't know that exactly. I'm sorry, I don't know. I'll find out. It's enough for all of them to have it. I didn't ask for a count because we wanted to provide it to all of them in K-5.
Okay, and you're saying that this would come out of the same account? We're talking about the
Yes,
same
the
pot
money
of
has to be spent on English language learners and the support for them, and that's what this would come by. When I say manual, they are manuals, but it's a multitude of them, depending on, because our English language arts curriculum is outstanding. It's a spiraling curriculum, and it addresses all the skills in a spiraling manner. So you have a basic manual, you have a small group manual, you have targeted early language acquisition things. You just have a variety depending on the needs of the students. So it's a large kit.
Any other questions? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries 6-0.
Thank you. And the third item is item 9B3. This would constitute a change to the instructional calendar as far as where students are served. We have to give the ACT to all our juniors, and the state of North Carolina tells us when that will be. We have no choice in the date, and they all have to take it as part of our accountability. And right now, we're not under a waiver of any kind. We are proceeding as if we have accountability as normal. And so what we have traditionally done in our high schools is they would rent a lot of tables because we get to select the pre-ACT date, which is required of all 10th graders. So what most high schools would do in a normal year would rent tables, set them up in the gym, and give the ACT one day and the pre-ACT maybe the next day while they have all those tables there to save money. We can't obviously do that in the time of COVID. So what we need to do, because we have no options again on the ACT date, the ACT date is Tuesday, February 23rd. So what we've met with our high school principals and discussed options. What we would like to do is administer the ACT on Tuesday, and that would get cohort A in school one day face-to-face and remote another day. And then turn around that very same week for equity purposes and have cohort B, 10th graders, in school one day and have the ACT on Thursday. So I've spelled out for you on the exhibit sheet, Monday would be a regular day, Friday would be a regular day, Wednesday would be a regular day. We're asking on Tuesday that the only students on our high school campuses are 11th graders taking the ACT because we have to social distance. And then on Thursday, the only high school students on campus would be our 10th graders taking the pre-ACT. This would not impact our self-contained DC students at all. They would proceed all 4 days as normal. So I request that you approve this for us.
I'll entertain a motion to have a change in our calendar for Tuesday, February 23rd to be an ACT day for our 11th graders, and then on Thursday, February 25th, an ACT day for our 10th graders.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Johnston, second by Mr. Wooten. Any questions?
But that would be pre-ACT.
Excuse me, pre-ACT for 10th graders.
Yes.
Are some of our high schools already doing this kind of preemptive, proactive measure, or are you aware of that?
What do you mean?
This plan that you're implementing?
We have discussed this with the high school in determining what would be best, and this is what they wanted us to do.
Thank you, Dr.
You're
Chris.
welcome. Yes, we consulted them before putting it together.
Right. And just for our viewing audience, this is not a test that can be taken online at home, correct?
Oh, no. We are required to administer the test on the site, face-to-face, and they send us very strict guidelines on how to space the students, how they have to sit, and the only way we can feasibly do it is to do this.
So if parents who have all virtual students are not happy about this, what do they need to do?
Well, we need them to come and take the ACT because it's part of our accountability, but this is something that is decided at the state level. So they could express concerns there. They can certainly express them to us, and we will empathize because I understand it. But this is part of our state accountability model that we are still operating under. So we really have no choice but to give this exam face-to-face on the school sites.
So this is not just a Johnston County decision?
This is a statewide requirement. Now, the ACT date, I'm not sure because I don't study what other districts do. Other districts may be given a different day. I don't think so. I think it's the same date everywhere. And then we have a test window for the pre-ACT, and it just makes sense for us to do it like we have done it in the past in the same week.
And so the only time that instruction for everyone is interrupted is on those Tuesdays and Thursdays.
On those
Monday-
Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Monday
Monday,
and Friday
Wednesday, and
will be-
Friday stays the same as normal. Yes.
Any other questions? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries 6-0. Thank you, Dr. Coates.
Thank you.
Hey, Dr. Coates, is this your last meeting?
This is it.
Well, I just want to say thanks. You're one of the most intelligent people I've had the opportunity to work with, and you're a
Thank
pretty
you.
tough individual.
I've
Thank you.
enjoyed it.
Thank you, Dr. Coates.
I think, Dr. Coates, we're going to ask for you and Ms. Gill to come back at the end. If you
Oh,
are you planning to leave?
I'll always stay to the
Okay.
end.
All right,
I don't,
thank you.
I don't stay long after the end.
Yeah.
But I stay to the end, yes,
Okay.
sir. I'll be here.
Okay, thank you. We'll have a
Thank you.
special. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Ms. Gill.
Good evening again, Chairman Sutton, Vice Chair Terry Sessoms, members of the board, and Dr. Bracy. It's a pleasure to be with you again this evening, and I have two items for your consideration this evening. The first is Board Exhibit 9C1, which is school safety updates. And I am very happy to have Mr. Chase Farrell here with us this evening. He is our safety officer for the district under my department. He does a tremendous job, takes this role extremely seriously. And I know that in the most recent meeting, there have been a couple of questions about where we were going with some S2 software, some of our camera capabilities, and what we thought would be pertinent this evening is if we gave you an overview of some of the safety updates that we've been able to provide to the district during the past 2 to 3 years, and some of our processes that, of course, are not confidential within our school safety plan. It is a top priority for our school system, and this presentation this evening will provide you the update and the status of our safety initiatives. So at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Chase Farrell, and he's going to provide you a brief presentation to give you an overview. Thank you.
Welcome, Mr. Farrell.
Thank you, Ms. Gill. Good evening, everyone. Hope you're doing well. Tell Coach I said hello. It's great to see you this evening. I appreciate Ms. Gill giving me this opportunity. This is a topic that I'm very passionate about, that excites me. Crisis planning, working with law enforcement, ensuring that our students are safe in schools, ensuring that our staff are safe in their day-to-day operations. I'm going to paint this picture with a very broad stroke, because there are some details, for obvious reasons, that we can't share about crisis planning and some ins and outs. So we're going to paint it with a very broad stroke, come from a very general lens. But as you have questions, hey, shoot me an email, give me a call. Be glad to answer your inquiries. You can go ahead on to that next one. Mr. Phil Lee was my first mentor in this district, and this was a quote of his. I'm a firm believer that teachers teach and learners learn at a higher level if they feel safe in their schools. And there's some data that supports that. Teaching working condition surveys show that if teachers feel safe, it correlates with student achievement. We believe that if there are protocols, routines, procedures in place that allow teachers to teach at a high level, that it will be an environment that is safe and conducive to teaching and learning. So that's what we strive for and what we do in these behind-the-scenes safety and security measures. Go ahead, Ms. Wilkes. Brief overview of some of the ins and outs that we have going on in our school system right now. Just wanted to share a few. Every staff member that has one of these key fobs, they can thank Mr. Ben Barber. He's our access control specialist. He is one individual who ensures that all of our key fobs are working appropriately, that all the high school student ID cards are working appropriately so that we can access our buildings safely and ensure that the exterior doors stay locked. That's a proven measure to ensure safety of students. I would love to get Mr. Ben Barber some assistance one day because he is a department of one right now, and we will advocate for that in the future. Front door buzzer systems are on all of our schools. People that come to the schools must share what it is that they are there for when they arrive to the school before they can be let in. I mentioned the staff key fobs. Some of our classroom doors, EC classroom doors, are equipped with hardware that has a delay, that if we have students in those classrooms that have an affinity for running, it gives a delay so that those students don't put themselves in harm's way. I spoke to our high school ID card initiative. It allows our students to access the key fobbed doors, quickly get in and out so that all of the doors, exterior doors, stay locked at the schools. A lot of these that we just spoke about were grant funded. Mr. Barber and I, along with Cherry Johnston's expertise, applied for a couple of grants, and we received somewhere in the neighborhood of $280,000 over the past few years to ensure that these measures did not fall. Ms. Sessoms, you probably remember our digital emergency management plans that were created years ago when Dr. Johnston worked on a grant. Still going, still a quality platform. This houses a lot of important information for our schools that we can provide to law enforcement, fire, emergency services, so that they have information they need about our crisis plans and about our sites, so that if they ever need to come to our sites in the event of a crisis, they have what they need at their fingertips. And you guys have access to these plans as well. If you need a password, feel free to get it. Let me know. I'll get you the information. And these are updated intermittently throughout the year, and we inspect what we expect. So make it a point to go and assess these each year. Our security vestibules, they provide an added layer of defense. We appreciate the board having the wherewithal to ensure that bond money was spent for those items a few years ago. I have worked with emergency services the past couple of years, and we haven't been able to do a lot of this lately due to the pandemic. But we've worked with that department, and this is a training that we hope we never have to use, but we've seen that it's very beneficial. At a couple of schools, we have had training with that department on how to utilize a tourniquet, how to stop a bleed, first aid CPR, how to utilize an AED machine, EpiPens, so that if we need to, we have the ability. We want to try to trot that out at each school moving forward. Go ahead, Ms. Wilkes. Currently, we're in the throes of doing security breach checks at our schools. I go to each site throughout the year, check every exterior door to ensure that they are appropriately locked, that they're not propped, that they're not open. If there are any vulnerabilities, have that discussion with the school team so that we can remedy any breaches that may be taking place. And so we do that once announced, but then I have a follow-up that's unannounced so that we can ensure that, as I said before, we're inspecting what we expect. Black boxes, you're probably familiar with these in your line of work. Crisis boxes at each school that has all of their information, maps, bus routes, student information, so that if the event, law enforcement, emergency services ever does have to come to our sites during a crisis, we can hand the information over, they have it in their hands. And don't worry about clicking on that link, but there's a link there with the updated black box requirements. Go ahead, Ms. Wilkes. There are some recent safety initiatives. The Say Something Anonymous Reporting app. It is what it says. It's a way for students to anonymously report things that are going on in their lives or in another student's lives to a crisis center. The crisis center works with school personnel. We put measures and interventions in place to try and help students. Each school has a trained team. There is a district trained team. We work with the crisis center through Sandy Hook Promise. It has been very successful here in our district. We have made numerous saves, if you will, and we have provided supports to a number of students. There's a stat at the bottom of that one. There's a 19% increase in student ideation and self-harm from 1819 to 1920. Well, let's think of what it's probably been from 1920 to 2021. So we want to ensure that we have that reporting app in place so that students who need assistance can find it. We have a crisis remind group. If we have to get information out to schools quickly in a timely manner, we don't have time to phone call, we don't have time to email, we don't have time to text. We've got that crisis remind group. Information goes out seamlessly. If something's affecting Riverwood Middle, you know it's affecting Riverwood Elementary. If it's affecting McGee's, it's affecting McGee's. If it's affecting one school in a feeder pattern, it's likely affecting the whole feeder pattern. So we get that information out quickly. I've only had to use it once this year. It was for a weather-related issue. Our phone system, we have a way for a team of people to be able to see when 911 has been dialed so that we can provide supports at the school if need be. Go ahead, Ms. Wexler. Our recent safety initiatives, our mobile unit signage, I'm sure you've seen it. It's as big as all outdoors when you go to our schools. Those signs were needed because the signs that were on our mobile units prior to that were 9s that were falling into 6s and 3s that looked like E's. So we now have uniformity across the district for our signage, easy reference point if law enforcement, fire rescue, emergency services needs to come onto our campuses. Feeder pattern safety meetings, I feel like these have been a wonderful opportunity for us to collaborate with the individuals in the different feeder patterns. I know you've attended a few. Thanks for being there. Each feeder pattern, we come and we pull law enforcement, fire, emergency service together in those regions with the school personnel, with the leadership of the school, so that we can do things such as have tabletop exercises where they have an opportunity to everybody give input, because that's the way we grow, that's the way we get bigger. And it provides that opportunity for collaboration, because the last time you want to get with those groups, and you want to know them if there's a crisis going down. You don't want to have to figure out who they are when they get there. So we've developed those relationships over time. And we have those in all of our feeder patterns with the exception of 2, and those are in the works. Go ahead, Ms. Weckes. A couple more slides. Some things that we have implemented recently. Our S2 software that we heard about at our last board meeting, that provides us the opportunity to lock down schools at the stroke of a key, deactivate ID cards, activate key fobs, deactivate key fobs. We recently obtained that grant. We will start putting that software in 6 more schools. We've got 23 to go, and we want to continue working towards obtaining grants so that we can outfit every school with those capabilities. We meet monthly with the fire inspectors. We do that so that we can determine what challenges there are in our buildings with fire, so that we can ensure we are doing everything we can to keep our students safe. We have our fire inspectors involved in our drills, and we want our fire drills not to become routine, but to become something that is real and legitimate. For example, we may block an exit way during a fire drill so that teachers and students have to determine, okay, how am I going to get out if that exit is blocked? It's not step over the chair, it's find your other exit. Consistently and constantly communicating with our emergency services department in the county. We've got a great rapport with those guys. We spend quite a bit in the EOC with them, working on different endeavors. So we're very thankful for that partnership as well. I'm quick. I appreciate your time. Again, if you have questions that are of detail, give me a shout. We'll get you figured out.
Thank you, Mr. Farrell. Does anybody have any questions or comments for Mr. Farrell?
Need for all these things. Yes?
We can always utilize more resources, Ms. Andrews. As a matter of fact, for our S2 software I mentioned, We have about 23 schools left to outfit. And we're working on a grant currently to hopefully help with that funding. And that's to the tune of about $415,000 to outfit the other 23.
And you said that allows you to lock down the school centrally?
Yes, sir.
Shut out fobs, shut out student
Deactivate
badges?
every fob, and we can do it at, well, getting in a little detail here, but we have that capability, yes, sir.
You have such things as the AEDs, you have plenty in your schools?
Yes, ma'am.
We don't
We
have
do
one
have-
at the other end of the school that somebody's got to run down there and get, or?
We have multiple AEDs in the schools,
Okay.
yes, ma'am. And they are checked frequently and often by our nurses at the current time.
Mr. Farrell, I appreciate you, not only what you do for school safety, but also looking opportunities to fund it with grants.
sir.
And looking at other sources of funding, and appreciate you doing that. And, you know, we can't be too thorough when it comes to safety of outside sources, and I appreciate that.
Yes, sir. That's what makes the world go around, keeping our students safe, absolutely.
Thank you, Mr.
appreciate it.
Farrell.
Mr. Chair, if I could just add something, Mr. Farrell, Mr. Britt and I will have a conversation with you as part of the budget process about what your needs are
Thank you, sir.
going forward. Thank you.
Greatly appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Farrell, for everything you do.
Yes, sir. Thank you, guys.
I know I've said this many times, but the operations department is full of brilliant and tremendous leaders. Mr. Farrell is an example of a logistical mind who thinks through each part of what needs to be done, and you can see the evidence of that with the tremendous work he has done over the past 2 to 3 years to take us next level. And that is a continuous process, one that doesn't stop. But this is just a snapshot of where we are, and I just want to thank him and the entire team of operations because they make it happen. So I really appreciate all their work. My second item is Board Exhibit 9C2, which is the Technology, Network, and Infrastructure for Thanksgiving Elementary. As Mr. Moore has shared and will continue to share with you, Thanksgiving Elementary is moving right along. Things are going extremely well, and we are working to procure everything that we need for the infrastructure for the school. I've been to you in the past couple of meetings, there may be a couple of more in the next couple of months about all the technology equipment, devices, and such that we need. I bring before you today the procurement for the infrastructure and network equipment, which includes your servers, your switches, your access points, and all of the related equipment for Thanksgiving Elementary. And this purchase will provide the connectivity and electronic services for all of our staff and students. And we're able to utilize the E-rate and North Carolina DPI connectivity funding, and that's a discounted pricing, and upon board approval and the issuance of the actual purchase order. It does include the competitive bid justification for the purchase through E-rate. We have taken this through Mr. Britt, who has reviewed this, and it is the recommendation of the Operations and Communications Department to purchase the infrastructure and network equipment for Thanksgiving Elementary. You will see all of the physical implications that are at the bottom of your exhibit sheet, and this is coming from our 2018 bond funds that were allocated for the construction of the new school. The total value of this purchase is not to exceed $200,000. I bring that for you today as an action item.
I'll entertain a motion to purchase all the network equipment for Thanksgiving Elementary not to exceed $200,000.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Sessom, second by Mr. Wooten. Any questions?
Do we have more, is this a you said competitive bids, how many bids did we get?
The bidding process is done through the state for us, and then we're given that
So
opportunity.
they send it to you and say,
These are the people
this
that's
is what you
approved.
got?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Any other questions? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Thank you, Ms. Gill.
All I have. Thank you so much.
Ms. Gill, will you be around as well?
Will I be around after this meeting?
No. Will you be around by the end of this meeting? We were going to call you back in at the end of the meeting.
I am on duty, sir, and at the pleasure of the board. Always.
Thank you. Mr. Moore.
Good evening, everyone. Tonight I have one item for you, Board Exhibit Number 9D1. It is the 2020-2021 Department of Public Instruction Facility Needs Survey. So every 5 years, school systems across our state are required to complete this database survey and submit to DPI. And linked in your agenda are the summary reports. At this time, I'll quickly go through them. They are separated into capacity and cost summaries for years 0 to 5, and then years 6 to 10. Starting with the first sheet that should be on top is the capacity summary and plan for 0 to 5 years. There is a tremendous amount of data that goes into this, from school buildings to mobiles to each classroom, from a language arts to a math, social studies. I mean, it's very detailed. We worked about a month on this thing, just gathering and putting in data. And so this is a summary of our current capacity and where it is projected to go for the next 5 years. I would like to highlight page 2 of 2 of this report. Our current capacity is 37,221. I will add that is including 201 mobiles across our district. However, projected enrollment in 3 years will be 40,212 students, so 3,500 more students roughly in about 3 years. Moving on to the cost summary. So what this is, you'll see in the first column, new schools. This is what the database software kind of produced, showing that we need 7 new schools in the next 5 years, and ongoing renovations, additions, furniture, equipment, the land to build new schools on. Continuing on to the 6 to 10 year capacity summary and plan. And anytime you want me to stop and ask this question, feel free. I'm just going through it. So this is what our capacity hopefully will look like in 10 years. I'd like to, again, on the page 2 of 2, in summary, highlight that our projected enrollment for the 2029-2030 school year is over 46,000 kids. That's 10,000 more kids from now in 8 years. Continuing on to the cost summary sheet for the 6 to 10 years, you can see four more new schools, additional renovations and furniture and equipment upgrades to existing facilities. The next summary sheet is our average membership and where it is projected to go, broken out into elementary, middle, and high. So a couple of items that I want to just kind of pull out of these cost summary reports is obviously the need for new space, and I look forward to our joint meeting coming up with the county commissioners, and working with them to achieve not only that, but also some of our ongoing facility upgrades needs. Everyone remember what these are? It's the old floppy disk. Surprisingly enough, we have 10 schools that run off of HVAC controls that operate on this system. MS-DOS. We control 6 schools on a computer system that runs on MS-DOS. Not beyond that, there's 4 schools that we can't even control. We have to go out and physically adjust them if the classroom's cold. Beyond that, remember Windows XP come out in the 2000s? We have 15 schools that are still on that system. Not only is that highly unreliable and you cannot control it to meet the comfort needs that our students and staff needs, but it's highly dangerous. It's actually been hacked one time, and if they, well, I'll stop there. So, beyond the new construction needs, we still have ongoing infrastructure needs. HVAC, chillers, boilers, air handlers, pumps, controls like I just mentioned, parking lots, roofs, furniture, athletic sports fields, safety lighting for our sports fields, security, bathroom, ADA. So it's a whole lot, and this report does a great job summarizing those needs, and we are continuing to kind of build our capital needs and our bond needs, and we're looking forward to working with the commissioners coming up real soon. Any questions for me pertaining to this DPI facilities needs report?
I would just like to make one comment. Thank you, Brooks, for putting this all together and the hard work that's gone into this. I think some of this information was provided at the Finance Committee meeting last week, I believe.
Yes, sir.
Also, Brooks mentioned the joint meeting with the county commissioners. Dr. Bracy and I have confirmed the date will be March 16th. We do not have a time yet. We have offered up facility services to have this meeting at, as well as asking Child Nutrition to assist us with a meal for all parties involved in that meeting that night. But as soon as we get a time set, we will let you know the time. I think we're going to try to shoot for 6 o'clock is what we're going to do. And Chairman Stewart and I are supposed to be having lunch later this week to discuss some of these items that they're looking forward to talking about, and then we're going to share them with everyone as well. March 16th.
Mr. Chairman, could I also encourage our board members and the county commissioners as well to reach out to our state representatives on the state construction bond that's been kicked around for numerous years, that needs to happen to help counties like Johnston County catch up for building classrooms for this county and many counties across the state. We're in dire need of construction funds supplied by the state to be able to control our student population.
Yes, I would highly urge that we do that. Vice Chair Sessoms and I reached out to both of our representatives last week to try to expedite our teachers and remove the phases from the governor's executive order as far as phases for the vaccinations. And we got some good information and feedback from them, as well as they had a health committee last week to talk to Dr. Manny Cohen about that. So I strongly urge us to continue to let our voice be heard on this state construction bond, because if we're just waiting on bond money to do that, we're going to continue to be behind in our school buildings for our capacity of what Brooks just went over with us.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
The state level, or based on what we've actually been spending?
State level.
State level, okay.
Yeah.
So it could be more, could be less?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And that's honestly why I didn't get into no cost data numbers.
Right.
Because the database software automatically puts the cost on it based on square foot cost.
Does the state do that as an average, or what they see the systems pay across the state?
They do. Yes, sir.
Does this eliminate mobile units, what we see here?
Most of them. I will share that I did look into that, and if we accomplished the 0 to 5 years needs, it removed 143 mobiles.
Out of how many did you say?
201.
Okay, so 143 would come out in 0 to 5 years, and the remainder of 6 to 10.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Any other questions? Mr. Moore, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Britt.
Good evening, board members, Dr. Bracy. Presented for your approval tonight is our fourth budget amendment of the year. And if you don't mind, I'd like to highlight a few of the changes that we have for you. So it's a little bit hard to see on your screen that's before you, but our first document I'd like to draw your attention to is called our year-to-date expenses and budget. So this shows us what our budget is, what we've spent so far this year, and what we have left over. So if we advance over to the third page, I'd like to look at pre-K. So Dr. Jackson, Ms. Radford, and Ms. Batten have worked very hard to help us allocate cost amongst the pre-K program, get everything in the right buckets. So there's 5 different funding sources for pre-K here at Johnston County Schools. So this will be on your third page on the back of the year-to-date expenses. So at the bottom, you'll see there's 2 different line items there. One that says NC Pre-K, and another one that says Pre-K Fee for Service. So now that we have allocated our cost amongst the different programs, now we can kind of see where we're in the hole, where are we going to be in the red. Because we knew, as we talked about earlier during the year, we knew that we were what I'd call upside down in both pre-K and in EC. But we needed to really do a deep dive and kind of get everything broken up and see where we are relative to the funding that we receive. And when I say that we're upside down, I just simply mean that the money that we receive for those programs don't equal the cost that we have. And so it's not that anybody's doing anything wrong. It's not that there's any misspending anywhere. It's just that our revenues just don't equal our expenses in those programs. And so what we are looking at is to address it from 2 sides of the equation. You've got the expense side to try to be as efficient as you possibly can, and then you've got the revenue side to try to generate as much revenue as possible. And so this piece here will show you kind of where we're falling during the year. And so I've intentionally left some red there and not budgeted for the gap so you could see how we're tracking for the year. As you can see, we're already, I hate to use the word overspent because they're not really overspent. There's not new spending there. It's just how we've allocated the cost. And it's showing that we have, that we're in the hole for pre-K fee for service, and we're going to be in the hole for NC pre-K. And so that's where we are now. We are working with both sides of the equation, generating revenue on one side and working with expenses on the other. And as we mentioned earlier in the year, doing both without cutting services to either pre-K or EC. So that's kind of our status. I'm sorry.
Can I ask?
Yes, ma'am.
This, obviously, this is current. This is where we are right now, this month.
That's correct.
Okay, normally, and you're the expert of this, normally, what percentage should we be, well, because I guess it depends what percentage of expenditure you should be at this time.
It depends on how many purchase orders you have outstanding.
Right.
So that throws it off a little bit, but the majority of what you have there is salary. So we should be between 50 and 60%
Okay,
spent.
that was my question, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. So it will be greater than what our expenditures are, But like I said, Dr. Bracy, Dr. Jackson, the curriculum team, they're actually making a lot more progress than I would have thought that we would have been at this early on in the process. So, which I've got some good news coming in that area here in a future page.
How do you generate the revenue for pre-K?
That's a great question, and I'm gonna show you in a future page, but there are different grants and different pots of money that can be applied for. And as you're going to see, there's one of the areas that they can apply for money for pre-K is in our developmental day funding. It's also from the state. And currently, they've been able to generate more funding in that area than we've ever had before. So we've got a $400 and something thousand increase in that line item that you'll see in a later page here. So, moving forward, we have, just looking at our year-to-date, and again, I apologize, it's hard to see, but this is the last page on our year-to-date expenses and budget. And that just shows you, as we just spoke about, Ms. Andrews, we are right on target. That's correct. So yeah, so we've got some areas that we need to continue to work on, with EC and pre-K, but in total, we're right on track with where we should be this time of year. So the next document I'd like to bring your attention to is the Amendment 4 detail page. So this document compares our previous budget amendment, which is Amendment 3, to Amendment 4. And the first page we have is our state fund. So if you notice the first red number, and red always sticks out as a negative number, as a decrease in revenue. And so that is in EC, and during the year, EC, and Ms. Andrews, you know this better than I do, they will adjust your head count based off of transfers, whether you have a net gain or a net loss of EC students. And this year there was a net loss, and so those students, the funding for those students followed the students to the district that they went to. So nothing too unusual in that regard. And Mr. Carroll, just like we were speaking just a few minutes ago, you'll see in 063 the $424,000 increase in our developmental day funds, so EC special funds, and that's for pre-K. And as best I can tell, that is the most funding that Johnston County Schools has received for that program. So that really, I did not expect that level of funding.
All right, that's
this
1
fast.
year. It's
That's
a
right.
one-year deal. You
That's
got to
correct.
apply for it. Okay.
That's correct. So yeah, we're up to $876,000 of funding in that pot of money. So since pre-K is spending more than what we have funding for, essentially when we get that $424,000, that's an additional $424,000 that will trickle down to fund balance. So that's a huge help, and I'm very appreciative of Dr. Jackson and Ms. Radford and that team putting that together. That all gets above my head of how they generate more money and how they work that out, but very much appreciate that. No changes on the next page for the remainder of state funds, just that our current total state budget is $260 million. That includes some CARES Act money in there as well. So looking at our current expense fund, there's a few changes there. The first one that you'll see is where we moved out our daycare expenses. So, we had alternate job assignments for our bus drivers and child nutrition staff to help keep them busy and to help cover our teachers that were, in other words, to provide daycare so that our teachers could continue to instruct while having their kids covered in class. So that we were able to move that expense out of local and in the state, and that's part of that flexibility that we spoke about with transportation funds earlier this year. So that movement is just a reflection. We moved that cost out. We moved $309,000 of cost out of local and in the state. So that helped there. So what we did is we took that savings and then we moved it to technology. So that's the $445,000 increase in technology that you see just below that. So what makes up that total is we have our annual Microsoft bill that is due, and so that's $282,000. This year we did not receive new state technology funds as I believe we mentioned earlier in the year, we did have carryover funds. So each year, the state allocates fines and forfeitures, fine and forfeiture money to the state or to us, and we use that in turn for technology. This year, we didn't get any new funds. The state redirected that towards the school business modernization plan to try to get our accounting systems more up to par. And so as a result, we need more local funds to cover the gap. And so that's where this piece comes in. The other component to that is a emergency fund to be established for technology. So we've already had one for maintenance and for facilities in case a chiller goes out or there's an emergency there that is unplanned and unbudgeted. And this would establish a $100,000 fund that would be there as an emergency for technology. So this would cover if lightning were to strike a building and fry servers and switches and all that other technical things that I don't know a whole lot about, but I know they're expensive. So that would establish a way to be able to pay for that without having to rob Peter and pay to pay Paul.
Proceed, now, I may not understand this, but you said there was no technology funds sent. It was used for that purpose, right, from the state?
That's right.
Am I correct?
That's correct.
And that had to do with just COVID-19?
No, that was actually because there was a revenue loss at the state. So the state has for several years now have had a modernization plan. They spent quite a bit of money on trying to update our accounting systems. And this past year, there was a revenue shortfall. So one way that the state made up for that revenue shortfall was to take our technology money.
I'm just saying, so we don't know whether we'll get that back or not.
I don't anticipate getting it back next year. I'm prepared for not getting it in the foreseeable future. It could, yes. Yes, sir. So that $100,000 extra money that we have in technology is not to be spent. It's not to be used for routine expenditures. It's kind of locked up in its own little house, and finance has the key, and if something were to go wrong, we can unlock the house and let technology in to buy what they need. And so with the board's permission, we would establish that fund for each year so that we have.
Is $100,000 enough?
Possibly not.
It's never enough, is it?
Right.
Mr. Britt, the idea is for it to build each year, correct?
Yes, yes.
Actually be at.
Yes,
That's
ma'am.
right. And the same for maintenance, for chillers and the like, is to grow that pot of money. If it's not used, we just add it to new funding for the next year, and then it's just to have an emergency fund. So the next, let's see if I've covered everything on that page. We did set aside $40,000 to cover middle school referees. As you know, middle schools do not generate as much money or don't have as much cash on hand as our high schools, and so this would cover for middle school referees.
Sort of in line with helping the high school, the same idea, right, of helping them with transportation.
Yes, absolutely. So, moving on to the federal page, we have money budgeted for EC. So it looks like a $900,000 increase, but actually it's just budgeting carryover and an additional allotment that was expected. So about mid-year, you get your final allotment in EC, and this is that number, $7.8 million. So it was, excuse me, it was expected, so it's nothing new there. We did get $248,000. Sorry, I got a piece of fuzz from my mask. So I don't think I've ever had that before in a board meeting. Oh, I'm good, thank you. But our risk pool money has come in as well, and that is also increased over what was expected. So again, good things taking place with EC and.
Yeah, and that's money that, for those who don't know, that's money that Ms. Radford is applying for based on the needs of specific students that move into the district. This is very good on her part, and historically has helped the district. But that's good, she's applying for extra funds because of the needs of specific students.
Absolutely. So we move to the capital outlay. So there's a big number on capital outlay with an update, and that's $6.9 million. So with capital outlay, this is for yellow buses. So it's kind of a unusual situation with yellow buses. And we record the cost, we record the expenses, but we don't actually cut the checks. The money flows directly from the state to purchase the yellow buses. And then they finance it over I think it's 3 years. And then we record that cost on our books. So that's what this line item is for, is it's our expectation of what we will need to finance this year, or at least what we will record on our books.
And that's for replacement buses, correct?
That's correct. That's for
Because
replacement yellow buses.
we have to purchase additional buses, right?
We purchase that's correct. We purchase activity buses, and the state has a replacement schedule for yellow buses. That's right.
Remind me now, I thought the local unit had to buy the original bus and the state replaced it. Is that changed?
You're right. If whenever you grow and you expand, you're absolutely right. When you add new buses to the fleet, just like you have pointed out, we do purchase that up front. But this is just replacement, so this is part of that replacement schedule.
I'm just curious, how many buses does $6.9 million buy?
Because that's part of, that's buses and payments. So it's a combination of the two. I think it was 2-point-something million for new buses, and the rest is payments for the rest are yearly payments. It's right around $100,000 a bus. I could be wrong. I think it depends on the bus and what exactly, how they're spec'd, whether they are spec'd for exceptional children or, how many passengers it is. But I'm pretty sure it's right around $100,000 per bus. Yes, sir.
Question on capital outlay funds, if I may.
Yes, sir.
Our capital outlay county funds is $840,000. Is that it?
Yes, that's exactly right. That's what you see in 077.
All right, capital not county funded of 1.2. What is that?
That the majority of that is insurance proceeds. I think we replaced the roof. Was it at Westview? Was it that the roof was replaced? But there's the majority of that is insurance proceeds. So that what we've done this year is we've broken it up into different little pots so that you can see how much is paid in each category. How much do we get from the county, and how much is coming that way? How much is for grants? How much is for carryover?
Okay, but our what is funded for capital outlay from the county is $840,000.
Yes, sir.
Is that enough?
But I try not to give opinions on funding.
How many school buildings we got?
We have 46 schools.
46 school buildings, and all kinds of stuff can go wrong.
Yes, sir. Yeah, it doesn't it will not go very far.
I know. It's just difficult for us to rely on bond funds to do, an ongoing issue. Somehow or another, we've got to try to build that up so we can deal with some of these issues that come up. They're not a tremendous thing, but going to be a considerable amount of money to solve problems around the county.
Yes, sir. That's correct.
I think, Mr. Britt, that's one of the first discussions that you and I had, that number when we saw it.
Yeah.
And I think it just goes back to that being part of the budget process and conversations with the county.
Absolutely.
It's been that for a while. Yeah. Yeah. And that's where we're going to have to rely on Mr. Moore and his team and the principals as we walk through and have conversations about the needs in specific schools.
I believe Mr. Moore, and not to speak for him, but I believe he's working on a 5-year plan to show what we need this next year, what's coming in replacement the following year and the following year, what the age of chillers are, that sort of thing. There should be a pretty good amount of information coming. Hopefully, as I hear, we have a joint session in March, so hopefully before that session.
And Mr. Carroll's really a knee buckler too when you see how old our chillers and stuff are getting at some campuses, and those have to be replaced. So there's got to be upkeep and replacement cost, and that's $840 probably wouldn't help a system with 10 schools.
Well, if I'm not wrong, maintenance has to come out of our current expense, correct?
Yes, sir, that's
So
correct.
the ongoing, one of the issues that were dealt with years ago, and y'all probably don't want to hear this, was the fact that with all of this construction that we're doing and growth in this county, if our maintenance line item does not go up, that deals with chillers, that deals with roofs, that deals with the stuff. And, so that has to go up along with the capital outlay. So when we have a need to build something on a campus, we got money to do it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I believe Mr. Board's working on an itemized list for us, so we can look at project by project, and I think the needs are going to be great.
What he showed us from the DPI was staggering.
So looking at Fund 8, so we have our pre-K bonus that we discussed in December, budgeted there. That is arranged by the Department of Health and Human Services for pre-K employees, and so that's the rough estimate of what we expect for the expenditure there. So that's also a flow through. The state set the rules for the program, and then it flows through us and we pay it to the employee. But it comes from the state, and the criteria is established from the state as well. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Britt.
Yes, sir.
This is an action item for Budget Amendment 4, so I'll entertain a motion. Motion by Mr. Wooten, second by Mr. Johnston. Any questions? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Sue.
Good evening, Board and Dr. Bracy. In light of Mrs. Zukowski's resignation or after that, Chair Sutton asked me to research the Board's duties and responsibilities to address issues surrounding that, and I'm here to report back to the Board on that, and it's pretty straightforward. Under state law, your duty is to fill that seat, and the state law specifies that the person who you appoint to fill that seat shall serve for the remainder of the term. And I bring that up because I believe you may have gotten some questions from the community about why your policy says that you fill vacancies on the board for the remainder of the term. The reason you do that is because state law requires you to do that. So that is really the essence of your duties and responsibilities in this matter, and my advice to you is that that's what you focus your energy on. Are there any questions?
Thank you for that update, Mr. Sue. Dr. Bracy. Okay. Yeah. At this time, I would like to bring Ms. Leathers and Dr. King into the boardroom so we can formally meet them. They're our two newest members. So at this time, if they're out there.
Good evening, Chairman Sutton, Madam Vice Chair Sessions, and board members, and Dr. Bracy. I'm Tanya Leathers, a high school area assistant superintendent, and I'm super excited to be here and to meet with you all. I started almost 4 weeks ago, and I've been rocking and rolling. So I've been to every high school, met with the principals, and was able to talk to them about all the great things happening in Johnston County, as well as our opportunities for growth. So I look forward to serving the community. Thank you.
Ms. Leathers, just very quickly, I'm sorry, Ms. Carroll. Go ahead, please. I was just going to say, I tried to describe what you saw today at Corinth Holders High School with teachers, but you can do a much better job than I did.
Oh, absolutely. It was an exciting day. I was able to go see Mr. Johnston at Corinth Holders, and we walked the school to look at the classrooms. We saw a math teacher teaching both ways. She had 8 students in there, and then she had her virtual students. She had her iPad, drawing on the graphs. I'm not a math person, I'm an English person, but she was using the graphs and doing slope, and then she would check in on the virtual students as well as check in on the students in the classroom, and they were all working and all engaged. And then we were able to go see another teacher who had hooked up his screen. He had a camera. And it just basically, the kids who were at home virtually were able to be in the classroom because he could walk around and help all the students while they were watching. So the teachers are doing a great job in Johnston County and making it work for our students. So I was very excited.
Thank you very much, Ms. Leathers. Any questions or comments from Ms. Leathers?
Well, we want to welcome you. We thank you for being here in Johnston County. And as you have so eloquently described, we have the best teachers that you will ever find. And so we're excited about you leading them forward.
Thank you. I'm excited about learning more and seeing more teachers this week and next week. All right.
Thank you, Ms. Leathers. Dr. King.
Good evening, board members. My name is Nicholas King, and I will be the district's new chief academic officer beginning on Monday. I've been kind of sneaking around here and there the last couple of weeks, catching up on and stepping into a few meetings and trying to get my feet wet and understand some of the things that are going on. And so far, it's been awesome. I do want to take a minute to thank the board for giving me this opportunity to come back to Eastern North Carolina. I am a small town boy from Eastern North Carolina, grew up right here, right nearby in Mount Olive, North Carolina. And so I'm extremely excited to be here. Look forward to doing the work and working with all of you over the next year. So thank you very much for this opportunity. I look forward to working with you all.
Thank you, Dr. King. Thank you both. Yeah. At this time, I would like to ask Ms. Gill and Dr. Coates to come back into the boardroom, please. Ladies, I understand tonight is a special night for you all. Tonight's the last board meeting for each one of you all. I think you all are retiring on March the 1st. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. We just want to thank you for all of your service in Johnston County Public Schools and all of the numerous jobs you've had in each of your positions, and God bless each and every one, both of you all going forward, and I hope that you have a very happy retirement. Spent a lot of time with the grandchildren, Dr. Coates, and Ms. Gill, I understand you have another opportunity that you'll be going to, so not too far away, that we'll be still communicating and working with you on some things that pertain to Clayton High School and the surrounding schools. But we just wanted to take this special moment to thank you both for your 30 years of service to Johnston County Public Schools.
Speech.
I don't have a speech, but I would just like to say it's been a pleasure, and it has been a blessing to work with the outstanding people in curriculum instruction accountability within my work. They are phenomenal. And it has just been a blessing to me to be able to work with them. And I thank you for all your support. I am going to enjoy the grandchildren and quilt. I like to quilt. So I plan to do some of that and spend time with my husband, maybe get in a little travel here and there. But I really appreciate the opportunity as well. Thank you.
I would like to say that I got to Johnston County in 1996 as a 27-year-old principal intern with Mr. Bruce Bunn and Dr. Jim Cosby. He brought me here. And this has been my home, except for a couple of brief stints where I defected to Wake County for a short period of time. And then I saw the error of my ways, but I love Wake County, and returned back home to Johnston County. And I started out being a special ed teacher in Beaufort County, North Carolina, where I'm from, to becoming an assistant principal, central office in several roles. And this is home. This is my home county. My children go to school here and have gone to school here. And this is a blessing to my heart to be here. This is an opportunity for me to not stop working but to also be able to serve the community in even greater capacity, and that is certainly my goal. And I want to thank you all for your support. And I love Johnston County Public Schools. It is my heart. This is a family, good or bad. We are Johnston County Public Schools. And when we're bad, we get it right. And when we're good, we're great. And so I just want to thank you all and let you know that I just think y'all are this tremendous school system, and I will continue to support you in all the endeavors I do in the future. Thank you.
If I could just say, Dr. Coates, Ms. Gill, thank you so much for me on a personal note for all efforts that you've given me since July 1st. Certainly I'm appreciative of that. All the early texts and calls, all the late texts and calls, and y'all return my calls and texts pretty quickly, and I'm certainly appreciative of that. You all have been a definite asset to me since July 1st, and I, first of all, congratulate you all on your retirement. It's well earned, and wish you nothing but success going forward. And we will cross paths again. Absolutely.
We will. I'm not going to be too far. We love our superintendent.
I also just want to say thanks. I've known you both for a long time. I've worked closely with you, exceptional children. I remember the days at Clayton Middle and Archer's Lodge and West Johnston. But you were always so very supportive of what we were trying to do in our endeavors, and you continue to do the same. And you've always taken on your new roles. You've taken them and you've gone with them. And I appreciate that. I really do.
Just want to remind you, Dr. Coates, you have promised me a quilt.
When we do these Zoom meetings, I have a antique bookcase full of the family heirloom quilts in it, and he always says, before you retire, I want one of those quilts. I want one of those quilts.
They don't make Dallas Cowboy quilts, so do they?
I'm a Cowboys fan, though. Well, I'm a Tom Landry fan. Let me rephrase. I'm a Tom Landry fan. But yeah, he's the Mac Daddy, but thank you.
We appreciate both of you.
Yes.
Both of our last days is next Thursday because of the leave thing. You use it or lose it.
Yeah, we use it.
So we're going to use it. That's right. Okay, thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank
so
you
much.
both. Thank you. Our next board meeting will be Tuesday, March the 9th, 2021, starting at 4 o'clock for closed session. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Sessom, second by Mr. Carroll. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed. Motion carries 6-0.